Welcome back to the swamp. It's been a while since I've last updated this series. I've been caught up in a lot of other unsolved crime videos, which I'm sure some of you may have seen. If not, I highly recommend checking out my recent mini documentaries on the Jeff Davis 8 and the Highway of Tears. Instead of covering a specific state in this episode, I thought I would cover the absolutely mind-blowing number of cases from Yosemite National Park. Recently, I was researching cases for the next state-specific video when I noticed a sudden influx of cases from Yosemite National Park being posted by the National Park Service. I decided I had to take a pause on the video I was working on and cover these cases and try to push them to more eyes. With the intro out of the way, let us get into these truly tragic, unsolved cases of missing people from Yosemite National Park. Number 1. Walther H. Reinhart. There are little to no details on Walther Reinhart's case. It seems his story hasn't been covered by any mainstream media outlets, at least that I could find, that is. I'm sure there are local reports somewhere, but unfortunately, this was all I could find. On September 30th, 2002, Walther Reinhart, who was 66 years old at the time, went missing without a trace. Reinhard was 5 feet 8 inches tall. He weighed 145 pounds, had graying brown hair that was thinning on the top, and he had no facial hair at the time. This, of course, could have changed over time. It isn't quite known what Walther was wearing when he went missing in the Yosemite National Park. It is speculated that he could have been wearing a gray felt alpine hat. He usually carried a fairly large fanny pack with him wherever he went. Reinhardt's vehicle was found at the White Wolf trailhead. Officials think Walther likely began his hike around the 19th of September. Aside from the photos shown, there are no other details on Walther Reinhardt's whereabouts. If you, or anyone you may know, has any information on this case, please contact the Yosemite National Park Service. Number 2. Kieran Burke. This is one of the many cases you will find with little to no details on it. Yosemite seems to experience so many missing people cases that details tend to run scarce while reporting on them. Kieran Burke was visiting the national park all the way from Dublin, Ireland. He was visiting the San Francisco, California area. He had a reservation for a hotel room near Yosemite National Park from April 4th through 6th. His family has said that he is a very adventurous guy and did like to hike a lot. Burke was sighted in the Yosemite Valley on April 5th. He was partaking in a day hike at the time. After the sighting, though, Kieran has never been seen or heard from again. Officials found his car parked in the Curry Village parking lot. There was no sign of Kieran anywhere, though. Nothing was reported about the state of the car or what was in it. A few more tidbits of detail are, he may have been carrying a camera with him. It is unknown if anyone was with him, but officials are leaning to the side of him being alone. A search was conducted for Kieran Burke on April 11th, which was almost a full week after he was last seen. Officials searched extensively around the entire park, but sadly, nothing of importance was found. Until this very day, Kieran Burke remains lost to the elements. Any possible information on this case is very much appreciated. Please contact Yosemite National Park Service with any potential information. Number 3. Timothy Barnes. It was summertime in 1988 when Timothy Barnes decided he wanted to hike in Yosemite National Park, as many have before. Barnes was a resident of Cucamonga, California. Timothy, also known as Tim, set off for Tenaya Lakes, close to Highway 120, which is east of Tioga Road, roughly around 9 a.m. Tim had planned on hiking from Murphy Creek Trailhead to the Polydome Lakes, which are located inside the Yosemite National Park. This is about a 6-mile hike, and leaves a 6-mile radius for searches to cover, which is no easy feat. Tim was supposed to be back by 4:30 p.m., but never returned at all. Tim's friends reported him as a missing person to the Park Service Rangers the next morning. A long and extensive search was put into action. Officials searched through the area with no evidence of Tim anywhere. After just 2 years, Timothy Barnes was declared legally dead on July 9, 1990. His body has never been found, and the story of what happened to Timothy Barnes remains unsolved. It is unlikely any new tips will come from this case due to the length of time since the initial occurrence, but any information that may be out there could be very vital to finding the remains of Timothy Barnes. Please report anything you may have to the Yosemite National Park Service. Number 4. Stacy Eris. The case of Stacy Eris has been covered by many on the YouTube space. From being featured in the popular Missing 411 series to various unsolved crime shows, there is a good chance you've heard about this case before. Stacy was just 14 years old at the time of her disappearance. She was 5 feet 5 inches tall, weighed around 120 pounds, had blonde, shoulder-length hair. Stacy was last seen wearing a white pullover windbreaker, a white blouse with squared neckline and lace trim, shorts with vertical half-inch maroon and white stripes. She had gray hiking boots, a gold-tone ankle bracelet, and a retainer on her upper teeth. Stacy was on a 4-day hiking trip with her father on the High Sierra Loop, which is located in the Tuolumne Meadows. They were a part of a 10-person group riding mules to Sunrise High Sierra Camp. They had arrived on July 17, 1981, and settled into their cabin. Later that day, Stacy wanted to go for a hike and apparently went on one with a 77-year-old man who was a part of a group that rode to Sunrise that day. After hiking for a bit, the older man sat down for a rest and Stacy carried on. The guide who had led the group to the High Sierra camp mentioned he did see her standing on a rock about 50 yards south of the trail. The guy would seemingly be the last person to ever see Stacy. There are many theories and controversies among people online as to what happened to her. For me, it is more important to focus on the facts and trying to retrace the last steps of the missing. Speculating on monsters or fantastic happenings only hurts the ones closest to the victim. Before we jump to conclusions, we need to piece together the puzzle first. My hope is maybe one day there will be some sort of breakthrough in this case. Number 5. Peter Jackson. This being a somewhat recent case gives me hope that maybe, just maybe, we could solve this one. Peter Jackson was 74 years old at the time he went missing. Peter is 5 feet 10 inches tall, weighs approximately 155 pounds, has blue eyes, gray hair, and a beard, and was reported to be in great condition for his age. He was reported to be carrying a Royal Blue Outdoors Products day pack as well. Now, this case is a bit tricky as some of the details are a bit flimsy. Peter is thought to have gone for a day hike from his campsite at the White Wolf campground. After a while, it was noticed that he never returned from this said hike. There are no reported sightings of him after leaving his campsite initially. Officials did check Peter's phone and found that he had texted his son on the same day he went missing, saying he was on his way to the park, which leads officials to think he was on a hike. His vehicle was found at the campground and his camping fees were paid all the way up until the 21st of September. Initial searches were set into motion, but nothing was found aside from his campsite and car. On October 2nd, 2016, the search for Peter was placed in continuous, limited search mode. Any information that could help further the search for Peter Jackson would be greatly appreciated. Please contact Yosemite National Park Service. These are just 5 of the many unsolved missing person cases from Yosemite National Park. It is honestly kind of creepy to know that certain places in the world have these oddly high number of disappearances. No matter what you believe is causing this phenomenon, we can all agree it is a tragic event. Another park with tons of odd disappearances is the Grand Canyon. If you guys would like to see a video covering the odd and unsolved missing person cases of the Grand Canyon National Park, be sure to hit that like button and comment down below letting me know you want to see it. If you could, please share this video on your Facebook, your Twitter, or any other social media you have. The more eyes we can get on this, the better. If you have a strange story you would like to share in a future video, be sure to submit it at swampdweller.net or the email you can find in the description down below. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. What are you waiting for? Don't forget to turn on notifications as I upload videos similar to this one almost every single day, on all things natural and supernatural.